Wow. I'm actually looking at the teams for next year, and I'm absolutely in astonishment. It's going to be interesting, isn't it? The way I've been thinking about it, guys, is we've had such an even year. Last year was really quite even. There was parts, I think, about eight games from the end where you could have jumped from 19th, 20th position up to sixth, fifth, sixth, seventh position in 2 or 3 games. All you had to do is win 2 or 3 games, and the people at the top, which included Blackburn at the time and Watford, they were losing so many that, and yet staying up there, and it meant they were catchable. This year, I just can't see that happening. Just cannot see that happening. There's a couple of things that we need to understand. We've had Luton Town go up. Now, Luton, fair play to them. They made it on off their own bat. A low budget, something that my team, Rotherham United, would love to emulate. Really would. Low budget and still managed it up into the Premiership. But had they not made it, they're the sort of team that you would expect then to just pull back a little bit like they did last time. Just not quite so good as they did the last time they failed to do it. And you can see mid-table teams thinking that they could possibly catch them up next term. They're now not in the league, and they're replaced by 3 stonking teams. I mean, let's face it, Leicester, Leeds will definitely be up there somewhere around, and I think Southampton will be not far behind them. So you've got 3 really good teams coming down, and going up, you've got all fair play to Luton. You've got 2 really good teams going up, and Luton, who hopefully will make a good game of it and a good season of it. I think they might do, but let's see. But the fact is that you've got a team that is catchable like Luton, getting out of the league, and it's being replaced by a team that's probably not as catchable. So that's made the top half a little bit more difficult. Then you've got, like it or not, you've got Sheffield Wednesday and oink, and you've got Ipswich, who, like it or not, both of them are going to be somewhere in that top half. And it wouldn't surprise me if both are pushing for a place in the playoffs. That to me is quite difficult, because now that you've added another 2 teams to the mix at the top half, and all of a sudden, if I look at it now, you've already got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You've got 9, 10. You've got 10 or 11 teams there that could actually be pushing for that top 6 place. And I say that because I'm including Norwich. Last year of their parachute money, the last time they missed it, and the first year without parachute payments, I think they sold a player in it for about 35 million, basically getting an extra year of parachute money. Spent it really well and got promoted. They won't want to do it this year. Won't want to do that again this year. They'll want to make sure they use their last year's parachute money to get straight back up. So they will be spending that money probably in full, much like they did last time. And I can see them not falling into the same mistake this year as last year. I think they will do it solidly planned, and I think they will be up there in the top 6. West Brom, yeah, I think they'll probably want to try and make sure they do have at least one last good season to push for a top 6 place. Ipswich will want to think that they can spend enough money to keep them out of financial fair play and yet still be up there. And I think they can. Wednesday, they I know they a few years ago they were losing money hand over fist, but they've got the ability, they've got the income to be able to spend to be one of the top spenders, so that they could quite easily be up there. So all of a sudden you're thinking, shit, there's nearly half a table of teams that either think they can be up there or can be up there or should be up there. That leaves you with the top half being really, really competitive this year, a little bit like League One. And unfortunately for Sheffield Wednesday, it could be exactly the same as League One. You could end up with a third place team on 97 points, 96, 97 points, and they don't get promoted. Absolutely amazing for the Championship, but not very good for some of the teams. So I think you're going to find a set of a really even top end, possibly very high points tally at the top end. But that means the bottom end's going to get hit. It means the bottom end's going to hit quite a bit. More often than not, you'll find those last year's bottom. I'm saying 9. There's probably a bottom 9 from last year that were at some point in with that relegation fight. So Stoke and Bristol City were sort of in it until they suddenly started winning a few near the end, and they were safe with several games to go. But those teams going forward to this season, they're going to be a bit difficult, because if you think about it, if you take those bottom 9, you've got Sheffield Wednesday and Ipswich replacing the ones that go down. So that bottom 9 becomes a bottom 7, because they're going to be above the likes of Hull and Stoke. And you start thinking, well, actually, that bottom 7 is like you've got Huddersfield and Warnock, who appears to be staying with them, which would mean I can't see if Warnock stays, I can't see them being the bottom third. So take those out of the bottom 7. Birmingham, I think the fans deserve more. I don't like the new owner, but if he does what he says and gives them extra cash, they could outspend the way out of that bottom 7. All of a sudden, you that bottom 7 is a bottom 5. And that bottom 5 basically is a mixture of what's it? We've got Cardiff, QPR, Plymouth, Rotherham, and Bristol City. And you could add Stoke to that. So you got so like 6 in the bottom now, which is it's a really tight bottom end, because you wouldn't. I'm sure if you were a Bristol City fan, you're thinking, don't be stupid. You can't possibly put Bristol City in the bottom 6. But look who's spending to be above you. To improve, you really have to improve. Just improving a little bit won't get you out. It won't keep you where you are, where you were in the league. It'll drop you. You've got to be able to improve a hell of a lot. Now, if teams like Rotherham, and I'm a Rotherham fan, so teams like, I know, but budgets like what Rotherham have, how about that? Teams that have a budget like Rotherham, if they suddenly start to do what they say and improve quite a way, so they said they did quite well in January, and you start thinking, if they can actually get skills like that on a more regular basis, then they can certainly improve their skills, but they may still drop. may still drop in place. They could easily drop into the bottom 5, which is absurd. They could improve a hell of a lot to the sort of same standard as a Hull or a Stoke City or a Bristol City, which is decent championship football. And yet they'll be 20th, 21st. And you're thinking, how's that? It doesn't make sense. So I've sort of like gone through this, and I've tried to work out how I would expect some of the off-field things to change the on-field, because like it's a bit like Benjamin Bloom says, a lot of the teams that don't do very well, it's not the football team on the pitch, it's not the fans' fault, it's off the pitch that makes the difference. So I'm going to go from bottom up, because I think the bottom is just amazing. I've gone for Cardiff last. I just can't see them when they've tried to get people in. It's as if they look at it and think, "Oh God, South Wales is a bit far out," and I'm not really sort of, yeah, they've not got a great name, but they've been a Premiership club. Whinging fans, but they're a good side. But can they improve? They tried spending a couple of million last year, and they're 1 million on a Rotherham player that they tried and failed dismally because he was worth more than that. And you think, can Cardiff improve? Yes. Can they improve enough to get to the teams that were in mid-table, but now will be in the bottom 6 or 7? No, because those will still be improving a little bit. They'll have to improve at the same rate as them and more to get out of that bottom 3 or 4. So I can't see it. Then I've gone for QPR. Now, QPR, what do you say about QPR? They're spending a lot of money on their players. Their wage bill is huge. I know they were worried about it last year, the fans. New manager, yeah. New players, yes. Better players, yes. Possibly. Style of play, still not confident that style will work in the Championship. Don't think it will. If they do get the players in, they'll have a chance. But I think that overall, I think QPR's new style of play, it didn't work for Wickham. I can't see it working for QPR. I hope for the fans' sake that it does. They've got some good players and they got some good fans. But I just can't see it working, guys. I really can't. I'm going to go in 20 seconds. I'm going to be really, really, really difficult answer this one. I'm going to go Birmingham. And the reason why I've gone Birmingham is because I think I just don't like the new owners. I just don't like the new owners. Isn't the owner still the new owner still one of the guys that's only just come back from being banned from being a football director? If it is, nah. If it isn't, then this is probably wrong. But I want to believe for the Birmingham fans they don't have another year down at the bottom there, suddenly trickle the way out slowly. I just can't see it happening. I just can't see them improving wholesale enough to be definitely better than those mid-table teams. I can see them getting to almost the same, but not quite. So I can see them improving. Absolutely, they will improve. But everybody else is improving so much. That league is so amazing. Can they improve to above the Hull City and Stoke City standard? Possible. I think these next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams are going to be could be within 3 points at the end of the season. 21st, I've gone for Plymouth. They've come up, different style of play, different qualities. I think they'll do really well in the beginning of the season. I think you'll find them in the top half, and then they'll get found out, and they'll start to drop slowly, but not quick enough to get into the bottom 3. Yeah, I think they'll improve to a class that, if I said technically, I think technically they're going to be just a few points below Rotherham, but I think they'll get found out around Christmas time, just after, and you'll find them drop from their position of probably around 10th through 11th, and they'll steadily drop to the bottom, drop to 21st, not the bottom. Another sort of within points of each other, Bristol City, thinking that they're going to improve a little bit, so they should stay mid-table. Mid-table is no longer mid-table, guys. 20th position, Bristol City, is actually pretty damn good when you look at the teams that are now above you. Within points of each other still, we're on Swansea in 19th. Worried about their last year, their January window. The only team not to spend anything at all. No players came in. They had one person there. They're great strikers, but they had nobody creating chances. So if you don't get chances, you don't get goals. If they can get chance creator in there, they'll be really good. It's like they want Ogbene from Rotherham, but he's not really a chance creator. He's more of a guy up front trying to score. He's more of a striker. And I think Swansea really want someone with a more, not scoring goals necessarily, but more creating the chance. Who else have we got? We've got 18th position. We have got Hull City. Again, mid-table City. Yeah, solid. I think they'll improve a little bit, but I just don't think they'll improve as much as all the others around them. Keeping the same theme up, 17th, Stoke City, mid-table team. They were in the relegation push with about 8 games to go. 7 games to go, still there. 6 games to go, started to just pull out of it. So I think the improvements there would have to be a lot more than just the occasional push. And I think they were a bit tight on the cash. I think they were spending more on wages than they needed to, and that's why they started to offload a couple at the beginning of last season. 16th, I've gone for Rotherham. That was a good sign last January. We were just, as Rotherham fans, we were just astounded that we'd got players of that standard in. Certainly strange for a Rotherham point of view that we were bowled over by the number and class of player. Usually it's, oh yeah, they've got to be personally really good people, and then we might take them on, even if they're just sort of standard, average, bottom of the championship player. So out with the old, in with the new, and we seem to have got a new direction. Quite like it. Most of the other fans sort of like it. My view on Matty Taylor is still out. To me, he's still a League One manager. I hope he proves me wrong. Certainly, the recruitment side of things seems to be rather remarkably improving. So, 100% believe that it will happen, and I 100% believe we can get a better class of we can improve, but we can improve faster and better than what the Stoke, Hull, Swansea, and Bristol City might do, which is quite interesting. I think that just puts us like even or a point or so above that group. So in total, there you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You've got 9 teams there, and they all might be separated by about 3 or 4 points at the end of the season. Because you can't say any of those are bad teams. Not really. The only one that might stay still, well, the only 2 that I can see staying still are Swansea and Cardiff, which would push Swansea down a little bit further than 19th, but certainly it would keep Cardiff in the bottom. So let's go mid-table. The 15th, 14th and 15th, perhaps I'm being a bit unfair. 15th, Huddersfield. I think they'll improve. I know they'll improve. Let's face it, look who's in charge. If he does, as has been rumoured, stay there for another year, then he's going to be in that middle third. I think there's too much class at the top. I think the top 12 are going to be a class apart from them. Certainly the top 10 will be a class apart from. No, they're not going to finish too much higher, but they could finish higher than that. Sheffield Wednesday 14th. There's another one of those iffy. You don't know where to put them, do you? I think they will spend a lot of money, but they've really got to stop trying to buy average bottom of the league, bottom of the championship players. They've got to be going for middle or up. They've really got to be going for lower Premiership players. They really have. They've got to look at people. Is that a Premiership player? If it is, then yeah, go for them. But they can't be going for the players that have played the last few seasons in the bottom third of the championship. 13th, Watford. I can see those finishing lower. I've seen people putting them right the way down in the bottom 6. Wouldn't surprise me. The reason why it wouldn't surprise me, if they lose people like João and they don't, and they only replace them by the odd mid-table championship side. Mid-table now is bottom 6 this year. Plus this faffing around with new manager every 3 months isn't going to help them for stability. And like Benjamin Bloom says, you've not really got the stability off field, which means that you're quite likely to get a few really bad games where you suddenly end up seeing Watford not finish 13th, but finish a hell of a lot lower. So I think 13th is actually quite high for them. 12th, Preston. They've improved, but they don't help themselves. They just have these last seasons, just a few moments of brilliance, and then they just lose it. And it's you can't afford to lose it in this game. No, you can't. It's just weird. Brilliant one week, average another. Yeah, I think 12th is probably a good place for them. 11th, Coventry. Do they keep hold of all their players? The losing finalist tends to do badly the following year. I can't see them doing too badly, but there are too many great teams above them. No. 11th, possibly a bit higher, possibly a couple of places higher. Blackburn 10th. I think they'll be around there, to be honest. I think they'll be roughly between sort of 8th and 12th. very inconsistent, beatable. Yeah, they could improve and still stay around that sort of mark. Yeah, I think they'll be sort of around there. Newcomers Ipswich, ninth. I think they will be spending. Just got a feeling that they're going to spend really well this year. So ninth position, Ipswich Town. Eighth position. Now, this is a difficult one. Because Ipswich, to me, West Brom in eighth is a little bit like Norwich. West Brom will be looking at this and thinking, if we're to get out this league, it has to be this year. Because if we don't get out this year, we're going to be floundering around at the top half of the table and hoping that we get a flat league, that we can steal fourth, fifth, sixth one year. Will they improve a lot to get to the standards of Leeds, Leicester, and Southampton? They can. They've got the money. They've got the backing. They could. Will they? Not so certain. I think eighth is actually quite a good marker. I think they could finish anywhere from sort of ninth to sort of second or third. But I think eighth is a good lower end estimate. I got Millwall in seventh. I'm not quite sure where to put Millwall because they're always, to me, they're always a mid-table side. They were excellent at home and not that very well away. And last season they sort of scuppered that and went completely the opposite. And the amazing thing is they've not got any. I don't think they've got any brilliant individual players. They've got a team of very good players, which is great. You know, it's great for the fans. They're not looking at one player; they're looking at a whole host of good players. And for that reason, and the depth of squad, I would say that they've got a good chance of if something goes wrong with one or two players, it doesn't make any difference. And I think they could end up in that seventh slot. I think they'll be somewhere between sort of sixth, seventh, eighth. You know, I think that they'll not move too much from that. Norwich City in sixth. Now, the reason why I've done that is because they've got to do it this year. This is their last chance. It's their last year with the parachute payment. They're going to want to do it this year. Last time they missed the last year parachute payment, then got I think 35 million from their from a player and used it extremely well as almost as a parachute payment the next year, and ended up getting promoted to a Premiership. They'll not want to do that this year. I can see them being sixth. I can see them improving. I can see them spending lots of money on classy players from the Premiership and making sure that they do really well. First of the relegated, Southampton in fifth. I just don't think they've got a really well-rounded squad. Of the top six teams, I think that they're the one that I would say would struggle at the top end. When they start playing the better teams, they're going to find it quite tough. They can score. They can score. Look at that last game of the season. Oh yeah, they can score, but they can also fall apart. I don't know if they can keep their players. I don't know if they'll keep the class and the style. They'll be able to score in this league, but how often and who against? Fourth, I've got Sunderland. I think Sunderland will do. I think there's a hint that they were going to buy at least £2-3 million players because they can. They've got such a massive following. that they can quite easily go out there and spend 6 million on a couple of players, and yeah, that they will be in with the big boys, and I think they will be more so this year. Last year they were hovering outside and got in on the last day. This year I think they'll be in there most of the year. At least a third of the year they'll spend in that top six, I think. Middlesbrough, I think that they'll be up there. Trouble is they were beatable last year, and they've really got to improve. They've really got to improve across the board. I don't think that they've really got a brilliant. No, I don't think they're really brilliant up front. You don't feel. I don't know. Rotherham playing them, we didn't really feel a threat. I mean, we won them in the last couple of games, so yeah. They didn't really seem a threat up front. At the back, they were okay, adequate, but prone to a couple of mistakes. You only have to have a really rough referee or two more than the other teams, and all of a sudden, yeah, you've lost a few games, and at that level of the league, that's actually quite critical. So Borough in third. Leaves my top two, the L's. I've got Leeds in second and Leicester in first. I can just see this being one of those seasons where Leeds and Leicester end up with 100 points each. And Borough end up on 97, 96 and not in the top two. 97 points and not in the top two. Can you imagine it? I just find it a really interesting league. It's really weird. The things that I can't understand, going to what people are saying on here, is, oh yeah, it's easy. You've got Cardiff at the bottom most of the time, but Cardiff could play some good football, and they're quite capable of improving to about mid-table. But mid-table from last year is now going to be bottom six. Bottom 6, 7, 8. So it's where they would sit in that bottom 8. So you can't really. I think all of us putting Cardiff bottom is probably a little bit overdoing it, overcooking it. QPR, it's all about your own decisions, isn't it? Do you think the style will work? Birmingham and Huddersfield, it's a guess as to whether with Birmingham, will the new board spend and get them enough millions of pounds in wages and fees and spending to get them out of that bottom, what would have been the middle table, that is now the bottom third. And Huddersfield, I've seen people putting them at the bottom with Warnock in it. No, please, no, stop doing that. It's just not going to happen. Rotherham, after their January transfers, I would be and saying that they're going to get a lot better quality in this year, like they did in January, but better. And you think, thanks if he's going to do it, and he's determined to do it. I think he will. And I think if it didn't work, because we're losing a lot of skill, but we're losing a lot of lower end championship players through end of contract, and that's, yeah. I mean, like Ogbene, he played awful in the last 6 months. He played well in the first few games, and then he seems to have got to the World Cup and thought, I don't know. He just didn't. He didn't go into the tackles as hard. He didn't it was being pushed against the line and losing the ball, hanging on to the ball too long. Oh, how many times did he do that? So we're losing players, but the bottom end championship ones. Now, stop putting us 24th and 23rd. Doesn't I can see putting us 22nd. I can see putting us 21st because that bottom nine, oh, the bottom seven are going to be really close. But you can't really say 24th. You can't really say 24th. There are too many other teams that will be lower on quality than Rotherham. Absolutely. But it's a very tough ask. You've got to look at how many are definitely going to be lower than a team. So when you're looking at well, for instance, Swansea, you look at them and you think, well, I'm pretty sure they're not going to improve that much. How many teams, even after improving, are going to be definitely below them? And you think, well, Bristol are probably still going to be below them. Plymouth will be scraping to get up that high, but probably won't. I said Birmingham's up to your idea of the new owners. QPR, style-wise, below. They might take on better quality, but I think the style is more than likely going to be below them. Cardiff, I think, won't quite make it to the Swansea standard. So you've got sort of 5 below them. So that's what you've got to think about. Not just think, oh, well, the bookies say Cardiff are. No, the bookies say Plymouth are the favourites to go down. So we'll put Plymouth there. No, there's a damn good chance they know what this league's going to be like, and they will be spending accordingly. They've got a low budget, but they know what to do. And they've got the element of surprise because nobody's played them, apart from the 2 that come up with them. And for the first 6 months, they're going to be probably a lot higher than where they'll finish. But they'll be, I think they're almost certainly going to improve by a fair way. Just perhaps not, Plymouth, probably not as much as Swansea. So do think about it. Yeah, bookies put Plymouth last. Yeah, but there's a damn good chance they're going to be putting up a damn good fight and being a total different entity when they get in the Championship. Unplayable because they're playing such non-Championship football, which works quite often. It did with Wigan, if you remember. They were actually halfway at the table after up to the Wigan up to the World Cup. They actually played really well. They won the league halfway up the table, thinking that they were well out of the relegation zone, and they end up bottom. So, hell, you're not really. Don't write them off just because they're bottom in the odds. So, I think going up into the Premiership next year. Let's have a look. If I'm right, it's going to be Leicester and Leeds at the top. We're going to have something like a Borough Norwich semi, which I think Borough will win on this occasion. It'll be very, very close. That might be penalties. If it was something like that, it'd be penalties. Sunderland, Southampton. I can see Sunderland winning it. I can see Sunderland winning it. There's always one team that doesn't get back up, and I think it'll be Southampton. And then Sunderland, if it was something like Sunderland Borough, we were thinking it'd be that this year, weren't we? On this occasion, I haven't got a bloody clue. I'll toss a coin and say Sunderland. I'll say Sunderland. I think that new boys, or relatively new boys, bit between their teeth. Yeah, great support, great crowd. Oh, imagine having that crowd behind you at Wembley. Oh, hell. Yeah. I think Leicester, Leeds, Sunderland promoted. I think it will be Cardiff relegated. I think it'll be QPR. I think Cardiff relegated is probably about a 90% chance for me. QPR relegated, probably a sort of 60% chance. Birmingham, I'd probably put it at about 55% chance. Plymouth, 21st. I don't. I think that's a lower position for them. I don't think there's much chance of them. I think the next team with the biggest chance of getting relegated, for me, would be Swansea with about 50-50, and perhaps Stoke City, who I've put in 17th. But if the money situation is a bit dire up there, then that could mean that they don't improve. In fact, they may even get slightly worse. You can't do that in this league next year. You cannot do that. If you sell one or two of your high earners that are really good players, and technically you drop a peg or two, thinking, well, we can go from mid-table to sort of slightly lower mid-table. No, the mid-table is now the bottom six. You'll be pushing yourself from mid-table to the bottom mid-table, but then that will push you from the bottom six to the bottom six, and you'll end up getting relegated. It's that close. So if I had to go for a surprise relegation, I'd say Stoke. Semi-surprise, Bristol City. But I think on the whole, I think Cardiff, QPR, and third one is anybody's guess. I put Birmingham, but I don't really. I'm not very confident in that one. I'm almost tempted to swap them for Stoke as a direct swap and say, no, I think Stoke are more military, completely the opposite to Birmingham. They're going in with it. They're going in there. Birmingham are going in there thinking they're going to spend lots of money, and Stoke are going in there thinking, shit, we might actually get worse. So that's my quick look at it. Down that out of the way. I've enjoyed talking about that. Actually, 43 minutes of championship football. It's. I'd be interested to know what team you support if you do actually listen to this. I haven't got the supporters to be able to go through the tablet and do all this fine fancy stuff with the editing. So unfortunately, can't do that, guys. But hopefully, you can you can listen through it. Hopefully you do, and hopefully you enjoy it. It's been. I enjoy talking about it. I do enjoy talking about it. Tell me who you support. Tell me where you put your team. I'd be interested to know if you're one of the bottom half from last year. If you support a championship club from the bottom half, right? So you're in the bottom half. What do you think about your chances if you keep your skill levels the same and considering where your club finished, will that end up pushing you down too many places to be comfortable? Because you've got to remember there's I think it's about four. You've possibly got Huddersfield and Birmingham pushing the bottom 9 down by going above them. You've got Ipswich and Wednesday that could push them down. That's at least 4 places down that a mid-table team will go. So if you're talking, even if you're talking somebody 12th, they could finish 16th this year. And it's like, oh, they can't finish 16th or finish 12th last year. And that's just by staying still. So it'll be interesting to know if you listen to this bit. Where did your team finish? If you started next season on the same squad, the same skills, where do you think it's likely you would finish? Do you agree that you might finish four places lower ish? Or do you think that teams below you might also improve and push you down one or two pegs even more? Or do you think a slight improvement might actually work this season, and you might still be able to push up because you don't think that Ipswich will do that well, you don't think that Wednesday will do that well? It'll be interesting to see what you think. I mean, you might disagree, and all four teams that I've put bursting into the top half, you don't agree with any of them going up there. I hope you do. Well, with one or two anyway. I hope you don't with one or two as well. So good luck, everybody. It's going to be an interesting championship this year, and I'm looking forward to it. Even if I am a Rotherham fan, yeah, just if you do a live, guys, please don't go, oh, teams like Rotherham and put us 24th. Not going to happen. It just is not going to happen. If it does, then it would have to be a really, really big collapse. And I can't see us collapsing because there's too many signs of a good squad being built. One that even a League One manager could do a good job with. So I wish you all the best for next year. There are certain fans that I wish better luck than what they're going to get. I think Watford fans have really had it in the neck over the last couple of years, or few years. Don't change manager again, please, for God's sake. Birmingham fans, it's almost like being a Rotherham fan, isn't it? Fending off relegation until 6 games from the end and suddenly deciding to play football. I can't imagine what it's like being a Birmingham fan year on year. So you do all deserve, we all deserve a little bit of luck now and again. One season at least where we shine and think, hell, we played well at the top of our game, at the top of the sort of position in the EFL that we would expect to be in. So, wish you all luck. Enjoy next year. I may see you again. I may do another one if people comment. I may do another one. They didn't comment last time, but hell, yeah. If you do, please give me a like. Please give me a subscribe. I can do more things. I can do more editing and be able to do more things with the live stream. Put little numbers up and display your team name on the left hand side. However, at the minute I can't do it. I just don't have enough subscribers. I'll probably never get that many. But hell, enjoy yourself. From a Rotherham United fan to all the other Championship fans, let the battle commence.